Hi, Stephen White from SteveArts89. I wasn't going to do another video about Picard. I did like two yesterday because I did one, and then 2 minutes later saw a new leaked photo which totally changed my opinion on what the hell I just said about the first one I saw. But I just did a video to review Madonna's new song Future, which I'm filing in the past. And I thought, well, I may as well talk about a couple of things I saw. Some of the pictures, actually, you can see the uniforms clearer, and they look a lot like the ones in Star Trek Online and the Future Prime era, where Picard was in the comic book. Fuck, what was it called? The prequel to the 2009 film. So they kind of look like those uniforms, and they actually appear to have the badges from the next gen Future, which I hated. I remember always thinking, please let that be a possible future, and that's not what they actually wear, because I think they look like awful. I don't know why they would change it like that. Once they set it on the Delta, they should have stayed with it. I must also explain, I've been catching up on Game of Thrones so I can watch the last episode of everyone else, and I was binging on some junk food, and that was watching marathoning seasons 5 and 6 and 7. I got like a blister on my tongue from like chips and stuff I was eating up, and not only does it hurt like a bitch, but it makes me sound a bit funny. So yeah, just to explain why I sound weird. Okay, so yes, a couple more photos have come out. We can see a bit more in detail. The uniforms, they are definitely uniforms, and they're very in keeping with the next gen colors and style, and the future next gen, and the Star Trek Online, and the God, what is the name of that? I can't even see it on the bookshelf. Countdown, that's it, Countdown. Oh, I can't believe I couldn't remember what it was called. Yeah, Countdown. It was sold a lot. When that's the prequel before the movie. Okay. It looks like that, so that's good. They appear to have some rank insignia and details on the chest, just like the Star Trek Online. So there's some consistency there, and it's actually really encouraging. I've heard a couple of things. What I'm hearing is the original idea may have changed, because the original idea everyone hated. The idea was that reportedly he was supposed to be in charge of Section 31, not like an admiral or working at the academy, which is where we all thought he'd end up. And what Kurtzman, we hate him, I hate him, was saying was that let's just take this character and put him in a really dark, horrible place. Let's just have him having a dark, horrible future, which he didn't expect. Like, you know, we all assumed he'd have a happy life, but what if he didn't? What if his life was miserable and horrible, and he has to find his way back to the light? And I'm like, that is not Star Trek's fucking story. This idea that they've got in their heads that Star Trek story is people in shit acting like horrible people, not good people, not the humanity and human beings that Gene Roddenberry created and envisioned, but they're just these awful people, and they're just sort of crawling their way to light and aspiring to Star Trek. And at the end, they all go, "Oh, this is how we should be," and then go back into the shit, and then by the end of the next story, "Oh, this is what we should be." That's what they think Star Trek story is. That people are negative and dark and a mess and hate each other, but they're heading towards a good place, which is Star Trek. Like, everything is like pre-Star Trek in the primordial ooze, just aspiring to be it, rather than just being it, rather than just living in that universe, rather than giving us that place to go, which is full of light and optimism and beauty and all that, and exploration, and what Star Trek was. So it's driving me freaking crazy, and so is this freaking book which I keep banging into. So I'm part of me is really not optimistic about the show, because it seems to just be Logan, although Logan would be better than Section 31 Picard, the first sort of idea the first direction it seemed to be going in. Logan Picard, I didn't really like Logan. It was too dark. Patrick loved it, apparently, so we get what he likes, but what he likes isn't necessarily compatible with Picard and with Star Trek. So I mean, he was the one who said we shouldn't be spending money exploring space. We should be spending our money dealing with problems on Earth. And I'm like, okay. And that set me back. I've met him a couple of times. I love him, but had a couple of good chats with him. But I don't agree. Just because you love someone doesn't mean you agree with everything they say. And a few things were like, okay. So I'm a bit worried about that. But then you see the pictures, and the initial like gossip and that was that the show was not doing well, so far as the marketing people, the licensing, Netflix. No one was happy with it. They said change, or we're walking. They made some very superficial changes, and everyone walked. And they went to Amazon, and now the show is actually being produced. That it was stuck before then. And the good side about that, which I'm hearing, which is the main reason why I'm making this freaking video, because I'm really happy, I hope it's true. We hear rumours, and some of them end up being true because the sources actually are on the inside and know what they're talking about. Other times it's just crap, or sometimes maybe they just hear the rumours, see how it's going to go, and actually change things, and then it doesn't end up working out the way it was reported or rumoured, but that's because they actually fixed the problem before it existed, really. So I think that's happened a couple of times, as well as people just being wrong, or hearing, you know, gossip and reporting it as fact. But what I'm hearing from different videos and what some people said, is that although they've greenlit season 3 of Discovery, they don't have the money for it, because everyone that was paying for it, because CBS was paying some of it, they weren't paying all of it. The licensees and Netflix have all walked and are not interested in continuing on with the show. The only reason why they stuck with it for the second season was Pike and the Enterprise and the new uniforms and the new tone and everything, which did make the second season better and better received by fans. All that's gone for the third season. They're just going full on dark in the future, nihilistic. The Federation's gone, just Stargate universe as Star Trek or something like that. And no one's behind that, so they don't have the money, so it's not happening. And I'm like, I'd like them to just go off into the future and we just never knew what happened. We can just live in novels and fan fiction and speculation, and it'll be more interesting than what they will end up doing on screen. So I'm quite happy to hear that although CBS has greenlit it, they don't have the money. They're not willing to pay for it themselves because they know they're not going to get the money back. They'd rather focus on Picard, and what they should be doing is focusing on Pike, because fans want Picard and Pike. We want original era Star Trek Pike instead of Kirk, so it's not directly conflicting with all that canon from those years in the movies. And we want post-Nemesis Picard, where actually Star Trek is going, where we feel at home with it in the 24th century and where it's going to go. So that's what we want, that's what they should be focusing on. Picard, going backwards and forwards between Picard and Pike for now. Forget about Section 31, forget about Discovery Season 3. No one wants Section 31. No Star Trek fans want it. People who don't like Star Trek, who hate Star Trek, who want to see it destroyed and embrace the nihilism and the dark things that are in our current sort of time, they want to see that in the future, because they want this to be our future. Well, that's not sort of what Star Trek was. I'm happy for those shows to go, but probably the reason they're being clung to so tight is because of diversity and gender politics and all that. They want females of colour leading Star Trek, not white men, and Picard and Pike are white men. And even though the fans want them, the shows are better, they actually make sense. They're both about the future and exploration. Pike was about exploration, Picard is the future because of the time it's set in. Section 31 is the dark side that of the Federation that Deep Space Nine made as an anti-track because they hated Star Trek. Ira hated Star Trek, he hated Gene's vision. He tried to change everything. That's why I hate him, and why I don't like Deep Space Nine. I grew up watching it and didn't get how subversive it was, and now I don't like it. I have trouble watching it. I'm going to rewatch it in sometime soon, actually, because I need to revisit it to make sure my opinion isn't skewed by other things. I do want to do another proper viewing of it and review of it, but yeah, so they need to focus on Pike and Picard. At least Picard's happening. Hopefully Pike will. Hopefully Discovery will die because no one wants it and no one's going to pay